Hello again, everybody. I'm Scott Casper, joined as always by Tony Hager. This is Global Wrestling News. In the wake of another disappointing dual season, Iowa State head coach Kevin Jackson has announced that he'll be stepping down at the conclusion of the NCAA championships in St. Louis. Over 7 years with the Cyclones, Jackson's coached 4 NCAA champs, 14 All-Americans, and 9 Big 12 champions, but finished just 68 and 54 in dual competition, including a 1-9 mark this year. With more on this story, we're joined by track wrestling journalist and former Des Moines Register writer Andy Hamilton. Andy, thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing well. You?
Good, good. This is we've got some big news out of Ames, and KJ announcing that he is going to step down at the end of the season, and lots of people were upset. Why do you feel KJ was unsuccessful in Ames?
Well, I thought one of the comments that Kevin made on Media Day this year that was really telling was he talked about how at the beginning he felt like he could turn anyone into an All-American or NCAA champion, that he sort of underestimated the importance of recruiting. And so once that first team graduated, he had that high-powered team that took home a trophy from Omaha in 2010, and it was a senior-laden team. And once that team graduated, then there was a void created by guys that had left the program after Kale left, and a couple holes in recruiting classes there, and you saw Iowa State lose a lot of momentum at the beginning. And I think back this week to that comment that Kevin made on Media Day about recruiting and the importance of recruiting. And we've seen here in the last couple of years, Iowa State has really cranked it up in recruiting and brought in a couple back-to-back. Well, last year's class was ranked in the top 3 nationally. It appeared that this year's class was going to be as well. But you back up 2 classes in a row, and Kevin Jackson's not going to get the opportunity to coach those guys. And I just think back to we never really saw Iowa State in the game for, top 30 recruits on a regular basis up until these last couple of years. And I think that this is kind of a manifestation of that, what we're seeing now. There's some other underlying factors as well. Some guys haven't panned out quite the way that, we thought that they might. A lot of resources devoted to a couple weights there with this team at 33-41. Those things kind of add up where if you miss on a guy or two, or a couple guys don't pan out, it's really hard to overcome that in this day and age, particularly from a dual standpoint.
Who do you think is likely for a replacement? Do you think they'll go ex-alum, or they think outside the box a little?
Well, I think the one thing that we've seen with Jamie Pollard and past hires, the big-time hires that he's made, is there's absolutely no pattern here. I mean, he's gone with Iowa State guys. When you look at his major hires, he hired Cale Sanderson. He hired Fred Hoiberg to be the basketball coach. He hired Paul Rhodes to be the football coach. He's gone with guys with absolutely no ties to Iowa State. He's gone with guys with head coaching experience, like Matt Campbell and Steve Prohm. He's gone with guys with no head coaching experience, like Cale, Fred Hoiberg, Kevin Jackson, Gene Chizik. He's gone with hotshot assistants. He's gone with mid-major head coaches. So like I said, at the beginning, there's really no pattern to what he has done from a head coaching standpoint, and I think that's what makes it really hard to pin down where he might go with this thing.
And we've got coaches out there that are really good at promoting their product that they put on the mat, and we have some that are really good at technique. At this point in time where we saw less than 3,000 people at the Iowa State-Oklahoma State duel, what do you think is the most important thing right now? Somebody that can promote the program, or somebody that is maybe a long-term and really work on developing these athletes?
Well, I think both, really. I mean, that's ideal, right? But, things can be turned around in a hurry. You look at what Lou Rosselli has done at Oklahoma in a short amount of time. I mean, he comes on board in August, and then he signs like 7 top 100 guys in this class. An amazing turnaround for, considering the time frame that he was dealt there. And we're seeing what's transpiring in Norman there. They got off to a tough start, 1-3 in their first 4 duels, but they won 7 of their last 8. So that is probably the type of guy that you want if you're Jamie Pollard, a guy that can do both, a guy that you can see long-term results for, that he's not going to sacrifice the long-term for short-term gains. But certainly in this day and age, you have to have somebody who can sell the program, who can get recruits fired up, who can get donors fired up to get behind the program and not only show up in the seats in Hilton Coliseum, but provide you with the kind of resources you need to go out and get post-grads to fill out your training center. In this day and age, to me, besides the day-to-day development, I think almost as important is getting the horses in the beginning, and also having the post grads in your room to help those guys develop. That's a huge part of the developmental process in itself. So I think what we're seeing in college wrestling in this era, head coaches are more like CEO types, and a lot of it is who you surround yourself with, and kind of the message that you can get out to donors in getting them on board. They're almost as important, if not more important, in recruiting them as it is to recruiting the high school prospects.
Andy, appreciate your knowledge of the sport, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime, Tony.
All right, stay tuned, wrestling fans. Tony's top 5 weekend matchups to watch and a lot more. You're watching GWN thanks to Barbarian Apparel.
Right now, get a free 2-liter with the purchase of any large pizza. Casey's, famous for pizza.
Yellow Blue wants to show you global energy demands are expanding at an alarming rate. Power grids in the U.S. are aging while coal plants continue to close at record rates. Utility rates are at an all-time high and there's no end in sight. If this concerns you, call Yellow Blue, delivering products and services that are not only green, but cost-effective. You can be independent, safe, and secure. We'll show you how at yellowbluetech.com.
It's time for our top 5 collegiate picks for the week, starting with number 5. And you know what? I think your boy Matthew Kolodziej may have the week off.
This has been the first week off that he's had from top competition in a while.
Well, the big news, Kyle Snyder makes his return to college action after becoming just the 11th American to win the prestigious Eureka tournament in Russia. His opponent this coming weekend will be number 3, Nick Nevels of Penn State. Now, we've got a top 3 matchup here, but Snyder is just on a different level. What are your thoughts?
Nevels is top 3 for a reason. He has a big win over Medbury, but Snyder he's just a man amongst boys. I think we just see Snyder just going to his offense right away, those outside single legs, those low singles too. I mean, I see a major, possibly a tech fall here.
And just an opinion on Snyder, I think he's on track to being one of the best the country has ever seen. Top side here is huge, and we're nowhere near the top side. All right, here's a number 4, and I'm not a big fan of this being on the list, but you are apparently, Tony. It features Iowa's number 1, Thomas Gilman, versus Minnesota's number 4, Ethan Lizak, in the Gopher Den on Sunday. I think Gilman makes quick work of Lizak.
Don't get me wrong, Gilman is a big favorite here, but Lizak on top, he's really good, and if you want to get underneath him, if he has an opportunity to take down Gilman, he can be dangerous. If you start rolling around with him, he can put you on his back. So just that alone is intriguing for me, because we saw Gilman on his back in Midland, so he isn't immortal of going to his back. So Lezak has a chance here.
I don't know. Gilman is so dominant from his feet. Last time these guys wrestled, it was all Gilman, and I look forward to it being a little bit more of the same.
Yeah, I'm not saying Gilman is not going to win the match, but there is that possibility of Lezak could get him, maybe catch him if he starts rolling around on his back, and that would break the internet. Probably.
And remember, the University of Minnesota has improved markedly since the beginning of the year. Here's another one on our list I'm not psyched up to watch. Number 2, Bo Nickel of Penn State versus number 10, Miles Martin of Ohio State. Now remember, these two met up at the 2016 NCAA Finals, but Martin is trending downward. What makes you think this will be a good bout?
So no one put Martin in the finals last year. Look what he did. Nickel all year has been able to just dominate this weight class. He's already beaten Martin twice here, but Martin is a guy that strives. He strives for perfection, and going up a weight class, he wants to silence these haters on the big stage at home. I think that he's going to make a match of this. I do think Nickel's still going to win, but it won't be just a landslide not to even watch the match.
I mean, Martin has had a lot of confidence going into the NCAAs, but don't you think he'll at least be a little down right now to be expected to knock off Nickel?
Well, yeah, it's been a struggle of a year. We saw him at Midland's Championship. I saw his face, and he definitely was, looked depressed, sad. But these are wrestlers. They don't care who it is. If they lose, they're upset about it. And right now, he's got Nickel right now on his sights. He's already lost twice to him, but he's going to give this all. I don't think we'll see bonus points. I think it's going to be closer than people think.
Number 2 on our countdown features the returning national champ at 149, Zane Rutherford of Penn State versus Ohio State's Micah Jordan. Now, these two have not wrestled each other. Plenty of common opponents, though. Who comes out on top?
Sorensen might have gave Rutherford a wake-up call, or you could, say maybe expose some of his weaknesses. I think Sorensen wrestled one of his best matches that he ever has at the his collegiate career. He had a good game plan going in. He had a good game plan against Micah Jordan. So, it's so hard to analyze the Sorensen and Rutherford match, and then looking at this match, if Jordan has a good game plan coming in, he could maybe slow down Rutherford.
Well, if I'm looking at a body of work in total, I chalk Rutherford's match against Sorensen up to maybe a sickness for travel. I've got Rutherford all day long here. Nothing against Sorensen. Rutherford is just the cowboy that rides in and wins it all and takes the girl home.
Yeah, I do too. I think this match, it's a match to watch, though. I see Jordan tries to come out and slow it down, similar to Sorensen. He needs to be watching that film to see how Sorensen was just constantly on the attack of Rutherford. I don't think he's been used to that. So if Jordan can do that, go to his shot, get out of that comfort zone, he's going to have a shot.
All right, our top match of the week is the same, featuring number 2, Bo Jordan versus true freshman Mark Hall. Penn State shocked the college world by pulling Hall's redshirt against Alex Meyer of Iowa, and then they were shocked again to see him lose. Can Hall rebound against Jordan?
Starting any true freshman at this level, the Big Ten is difficult to do. You throw him basically to the wolves right here. Alex Meyer, top-ranked kid, been at the NCAA championships, but it's a whole new level going from high school to college.
Right. Hall's had so much success internationally, way tougher than college, so I think it's an excuse. I think Hall was stunned by Alex Meyer.
Yeah, he was definitely stunned. He has had tons of success on the international level, so comparing international to college, it's hard to do. I just feel like the experience that Alex Meyer has wrestling folk style at this level, slowing matches down, I think in that environment, that pressure as a true freshman going into Carver Hawkeye Arena, very, very difficult to do. I think he takes his second loss again here today.
All right. That's our top 5 for the week. Give us your picks on social media by using the hashtag GWNTop5. Up next, we'll be taking a look at the highlights from the Paris International. U.S. came out on top. We'll be back after this.
Wow, 40 years. Time really flies. Don't seem like it's been that long. It seemed like only yesterday that I started out route delivering it to the stores. For over 40 years, we're really proud to keep the same quality ingredients and not change our recipe. Help us celebrate our 40th anniversary by joining into our cookies recipe contest with a chance to win a Traeger Bronson 20 smoker. You can enter it on our Facebook page or cookiesbbq.com. Thanks for 40 years, and we'll see you in another 40 years.
Cookies is the one.
Welcome back to Global Wrestling News. Four-time NCAA champ Kyle Dake made his long-awaited return to the freestyle circuit last Saturday, outscoring his opponents by 41 points on his way to a title at the Paris International. From United World Wrestling, let's take a look at some of the highlights from Kid Dynamite's breakout performance in France.
Ce sera donc un Américain, bien sûr. Kyle Dake, vainqueur par supériorité technique.
All right, I mean, we both picked Dake over Daringer, right? But the way he just destroyed that bracket was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think we all knew this would happen with Dake going down. Burroughs, he had a stranglehold on this weight class, but Dake was just not at the right weight class. This is where he needed to be, but at the end of the day, the competition was not the same as Jurigen. I mean, Paris was tough, but if he needs to go to some of the top level competition for us to be able to crown him the new king at this weight class.
Well, who else are we looking at? I mean, France was, I think, a statement and an eye-opener. My pick as a standout guy there, Nico Megaludis. I've been so impressed by his development since the trials. Dude is going to be a contender by 2020.
Yeah, he's opened up that offense a lot that we didn't get to see in college. You take take that with how hard it is to take Nico Megaludis down, and he definitely will be a contender at that weight class.
A killer offense for sure. How about Jimmy Kennedy? He disappears for a year and comes back and destroys everybody. I can't figure Superman out.
This is weird. But again, this wasn't a stacked event, so it's hard to kind of, where do you put this up, in his notches of big tournaments? Is he going to be here to stay? Is he going to be a guy at this weight class that can contend? I don't really know. I'm not going to lie. I don't know a ton about who exactly was at this tournament, but I want to see more Kennedy.
I want to see a lot more Jimmy Kennedy, and I bet you do too. Our conversation continues after this timeout. You're watching GWN. Thanks to Cookie's Barbecue Sauce. It's so good. Stay tuned.
The war raged for generations. No amount of bravery and conviction could end the infected, unyielding rage. And with every battle, the evil grew, changed, evolved. The warriors needed nothing short of a miracle to stop the infection, and a miracle they received. Your body is at war against skin infections and diseases each time you step onto the mat. Protect yourself against the invasion. Defend Soap. Defend what you have built.
When looking for a quality pizza, you need a place that makes everything from scratch, using fresh ingredients, 100% real mozzarella. And if you can grab a lotto ticket while you're there, well, lucky you. Casey's, famous for pizza. Right now, get a free 2-liter with the purchase of any large made-from-scratch pizza.
Well, the Kevin Jackson news did not go so well with incoming recruits. Top 20 recruits Austin Gomez and Jake Aller announced they want release from Iowa State. Is there any way ISU can salvage these recruits?
Well, Iowa State is in a bad spot. They arguably, are the top. They had the top 2 recruiting classes the last 2 years. We've got red shirts on the program right now that are saying that they might leave. That depending on what coach comes in, I think the Paulson twins, they have to put a little of this blame on them too, but they brought in some of these recruits. So they're in a bad spot. Do they keep the Paulson or go for a big hire?
I think what they need to do is do something quick and make it a home run hire, somebody they plunk from perhaps the top 10. I wonder whose names will be on that very short list.
Yeah, every single day that goes past, these recruits are wondering who the heck is going to be the guy. The Paulson's still going to be there. We're less than 45 days away. So if they made this move to try to go after somebody big right now that's at a program like a Kevin Dresser or Chris Bono, I don't see them changing 45 days from the NCAA tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see what these recruits decide to do.
All right. I'm on board no matter who it is because I believe in wrestling. I believe in our wrestling coaches and our athletes. We just want everybody to be comfortable. Speaking of being comfortable or uncomfortable, Iowa State's Pat Downey is on Twitter in a Twitter rant. Heck, I don't know if you want to call it a rant. He's calling out Gabe Dean, Cale Sanderson, Quentin Wright, many more. I got to believe Dan Gable's been called out. What do you take away from all this?
I think he's just looking for some attention that he's not getting on the mat. He has less than 10 matches this year. He is a guy that likes to be in the spotlight, and he's not getting that right now. He's not getting the press for his accolades or his big matches, so he needs to do something. And I haven't decided whether or not this is good for wrestling, bad for wrestling. This has kind of turned into a UFC type situation.
All right, let's take a look at some positives in our sport. The NCAA has released their updated standings for the 2017 NCAA Wrestling Awards in all 3 divisions. Zane Rutherford leads D1 as the most dominant, contributing 5.60 team points per match. Teammate Bo Nickel follows with a 5.5. 2 other Penn State Nittany Lions are in the top 10 as well. I wonder how Penn State is on top year in, year out. Let's see how they do it. Oh, guys just like this.
Yeah, these guys having 4 in the top. This is why they're in contention. This is why they're the new number 1. One thing you need to look at here. There's only one Iowa Hawkeye got on there, and there's 0 Oklahoma State guys. Penn State goes out, and they put up bonus points. That is the difference maker between Penn State and everybody else right now.
Look at the pin leaders. Penn State has 4 in the top 10. Iowa and Oklahoma State, as you mentioned, 0. Hopefully the dust will settle in Ames soon. Hopefully our sport will get fired up for a sold-out performance at the NCAA Championships in St. Louis. Well, we're out of time. For Tony Hager, Brad Johnson, and all of us here in our studios in Des Moines, Iowa, I'm Scott Casper. Thanking you for joining us. We'll see you next week for Global Wrestling News.